Story time with Mr. Lamada. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing story time with Mr. Lamada. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing.
Good morning and welcome to Storytime. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm glad we're here together. Yes, indeed. Good morning to you wherever you're joining us from. Or maybe it is evening where you are. Good evening to you. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on Storytime. And I hope that you enjoy the story that we have for you today. Always a pleasure to be here with you. Please let us know you're here. Give us those messages. Let us know how you're doing and how the weather is like where you are. And indeed, anything else that you would like to share. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime and welcome. Yes, this week we've been looking at some early chapter books. Yes, beginner chapter books. It's been fun. We had Julian's World, the stories Julian tells from Anne Cameron, and then yesterday we were looking at Ivy and Bean Get to Work, coming to you from Annie Barrows and Sophie Blacko. And today we're back with yet another exciting story and another exciting duo. And today we are looking at Audrey L and Audrey W. Best friends-ish. And this one is coming to you from Carter Higgins and Jennifer K. Mann. And of course, we're reading it with permission of Chronicle Books of San Francisco. Get excited, get ready, get comfortable as we'll be starting our story very, very shortly. Thank you indeed for joining us today on Storytime, wherever you're joining us. If you're joining us on YouTube, thank you for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Remember to subscribe so that we can always get notifications when Storytime goes live. And of course, if you're joining us on Facebook, welcome to. Thank you so much. Always check out the events page and see when the next story time is. As you know, story time comes to you at 7 a.m. Pacific time and also 11 a.m. Pacific time. Thank you so much for joining in. Welcome to story time and glad we're here together. And of course, as you can see from my t-shirt, it was a lovely year of fundraising, right for a reason. It was fun. Thank you to all of you for all the support and making things happen. Thank you so much for joining in. I can guarantee you the schools in Auckland appreciate, schools in Auckland and Alameda appreciate your support. Thank you so much for being here and welcome to Storytime. Out here in Auckland today, it will be cloudy. We have a drop off from the highs of yesterday. I think Auckland was about 75 and today it's supposed to drop off pretty significantly. I can't remember the exact numbers, but it looks pretty cold out there. So might be deciding to change from going out in shorts, maybe pants will be the way to go. Thank you so much for joining us. Please let us know how it is where you are and how you are doing. Amanda West, I am curious to know how it went, how your important meeting went yesterday. Thank you so much for joining in, and I'm glad that you're here. Let's see who is with us this morning, ready to enjoy a wonderful story together. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Good morning to you, Amanda Waltman. How are you doing today? Big hugs from baby Bia and yourself in foggy Seattle, foggy and gray Seattle. Wow. Thank you so much for those hugs. Absolutely appreciate you. And I'm glad that you are here with us. Yes, It does feel like Seattle a little bit out here in Auckland today. Thank you so much for joining in, and I hope that you are well. Good to see you here. Marlon, how are you doing as well? Thank you so much for joining in. Good morning to you, baby Pia. Hugs right back at you as well. Thank you so much for joining us on Storytime, and thank you for joining us out from foggy and gray Seattle. Well, glad you're here with us. Good morning to you. Good morning to you, Marietta. How are you doing? Thank you so much for joining in. Henry, good morning to you. Oh, Henry, feel better, buddy. Sending you hugs and well wishes. Thank you for being here. But also, we hope that, today's story and, of course, our company helps you feel just a little bit better. Thank you so much for joining in today. Good to see you here, though. And it is cool and cloudy out today in Massachusetts. Thank you so much for joining us. Good morning to you, Marietta. And of course, Henry, sending you love and wishing you well, buddy. Thank you so much for joining us on Storytime. Please get cozy, get comfortable, as we'll be starting with our story very, very shortly. Good morning to you, Amanda West. Thank you so much for joining in and indeed for being here with us today. And of course, Sarah and Nathan. Yes, indeed, in sunny and blue Illinois. Oh, please send us some of that sunshine. Thank you so much for joining in today. Good to see you. Good to have you back with us today, Amanda. Thank you for being here. Good morning to you. And I hope your meeting yesterday went well. Thank you so much for joining in, Sarah and Nathan. And of course, Amanda as well. Jamie, thank you for holding down the fort yesterday. Thank you for being here on Storytime. Good morning to you and hope you are well indeed. Thank you so much for joining us all the way out in Natchitoches, Louisiana, where it is warm and beautiful. Thank you so much for joining in. Auntie Pam, well, we're glad you're here, Auntie Pam, and still sending our love to the homeschooling kinfolk. Thank you so much for being here. Absolutely appreciate you. Thank you for joining us, Auntie Pam. We do have a wonderful book to share together today, and this one is called Audrey L and Audrey W, Best Friends-ish. And this is book 1 in the series, coming to you from Carter Higgins and Jennifer K. Mann, and of course read with permission of the publishers, Chronicle Books of San Francisco. Good morning to you and welcome. Thank you so much for joining in, Auntie Pam, and of course you're sending your well wishes to Henry. Feel better, Henry. Absolutely. I echo that, and I'm sure the entire community here today echoes that with you. Thank you so much for joining in, and of course for sharing that positivity. Henry, feel better, buddy. We are on your side. We're rooting for you. Thank you so much for joining in today, and welcome. I'm glad you're here with me on Storytime, and get ready for our story. Let us see just a short message before we get started with our story. So get along, move along, grab everything that you need, grab that blanket that was laying just a little bit too far out of reach. I hope you can grab it really quickly and get back for a story as we get started. But before then, just a short message from our friend, and we'll be right back. Thank you for being here today. Absolutely appreciate each and every one of you. Here we go.
Hi, my name's Christine Mitchell-Adams. I'm a mama and an artist, and I believe that books are a great way for children to have access to the arts on an everyday basis, which is why I believe that programs like Storytime with Mr. LaMotta are so important.
Thank you, Chrissy Mitchell-Adams from Vermont, an artist, and of course, Storytime community member. We love you, Chrissy. Thank you for the wonderful message this morning. Indeed, books are important. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime, and welcome. Please get comfortable, get cozy as we get started with our story. We're going to be reading the first 2 chapters of Audrey L and Audrey W. This is book 1 in the series, and it's entitled Best Friends-ish. And this one is written by Carter Higgins, illustrations by Jennifer K. Mann, and we're reading it with permission of Chronicle Books of San Francisco. Here we go with chapter 1. And just to give you an idea too, Audrey is moving on to 2nd grade, and there's new people coming, new things happening. She's excited about 2nd grade, and that's where we pick up. The drama is getting started in there. And so new class, new year. Audrey is excited. but there's things happening. So let's find out what will be happening in room 19. Audrey L. and Audrey W. Best Friends-ish. Written by Carter Higgins, illustrated by Jennifer K. Mann, and published and read with permission of Chronicle Books of San Francisco. Here we go. First, there's a letter. Miss Fincastle's Little Chickens, as she calls them. Dear Room 19, October has been a stupendous month, hasn't it? We got not one, but 2 new friends in room 19, and only one was an actual second grader. We had some magnificent adventures together, don't you think? I definitely do. These stories were some of my favorite things that happened in room 19 this month. Read them in the bathtub, read them to a tree, stay up past your bedtime and read them with a flashlight. I think that's my favorite part. Just be careful if you read them in the car, okay? Remember what happened to Diego in the back row of the bus on the way to the whale watching trip? Please use your common sense. Here's one more giant shout out to you. Thanks, little chickens, for all your hard work in making room 19 the best neighborhood around. We will switch jobs in November. And they have all the different types of jobs that they have in their class. What's your favorite type of job? If you're in school, what is your favorite job in school? If you're at home, what is a task that you love to help with? Is it washing dishes? Putting away toys? I think librarian for me sounds pretty awesome. All right. Chapter 1. At the beginning of the school year, and there's Audrey. At the beginning of the school year, Audrey had been super duper duper sure that second grade would be twice as fun as first. She remembered the best parts from first grade, like snack time and the sunny yellow paint on the door and Diego's jokes that sometimes made her snow. Surely second grade would have all of those things, plus better, cooler, older things. Second graders even got to put on a whole play with costumes and everything. That does sound fun, doesn't it? But second grade was not that great yet. It definitely had all kinds of new things. New things like grades on spelling tests, Coach Mallory's contest in PE, and Mr. Francis' music stars. New things mattered this year, like who had the coolest sneakers or whose paintings the teacher hung on the filing cabinet. Oh my goodness, the pressures of second grade. New things mattered, like who was who, and room 19 was full of characters. Like Mimi, one time she stole a piece of printer paper, and when nobody was looking, stole a piece of printer paper when nobody was looking and called it a fluffy wuffy bunny lost in a snowstorm. She had seen the actual Mona Lisa all the way across the ocean in France, so she called herself an artiste. Is that what an artiste does? It seemed like cheating to Audrey. It was just a piece of paper. But Miss Fincastle oohed and ahed and asked Mimi to autograph it, and then she hung it right at the tippy top of the filing cabinet with the 3 magnets shaped like frogs. Oh, and whose drawing was somewhere in the middle? Dangling from one plain silver magnet? Audrey's. Oh, it was a rainbow made of only pink and purple and blue, with one cloud on either side. But each cloud was actually a face. Miss Fincastle's on one side, Audrey on the other. Mimi had said those clouds made no sense, and we're all wrong. And Audrey must have never paid attention in science because rainbows don't look like that. Miss Fincastle had called it stupendous, and Audrey was a true creative talent, except she still hung it underneath Mimi's. So Mimi was the best at being an artiste. Bettina was the best at putting up with Mimi. She would listen when Mimi bossed her around and told her where to sit and when to stand and what to do. Mimi and Bettina together were the best friendship, made the best friendship bracelets they had never shared with Audrey. Lena was the best at braids and taking care of the library basket. Sonia ran faster than the third graders. Vaughn never got anything wrong on a spelling test, not even the bonus words, the ones with 4 whole syllables. Oh my. And then there was Diego. Diego had been Audrey's very first friend on the very first day of first grade when he told her a knock-knock joke that made her laugh so hard chocolate milk squirted out of her nose. He wasn't grossed out, not even one little bit. Back then, Diego was the best at being a friend. But this year, Diego and Kadir and Henley started the Acorn Club, which made Miss Fincastle think they were being responsible scientists. But really, it was a joke writing club that they had to keep a secret from Miss Fincastle because sometimes their jokes were inappropriate. The Acorn Club was truly the best at being funny. Diego must have forgotten that it was Audrey who had taught him all the best knock-knock jokes in the first grade. And this year, when Diego told a knock-knock joke at lunch that made Audrey laugh so hard chocolate milk squirted out of her nose, he called her slimy snot. Kadir and Henley laughed and laughed and laughed. He was definitely not the best at being a friend anymore. No. Audrey was okay at braids, at spelling and running. And running when she wasn't wearing sandals. But without Diego, she wasn't even sure she had a friend to practice being the best to. Second grade was not twice as fun as first. It was way, way worse. Oh, no. Give it some more time. It's just been a month in. Chapter 2. Little chickens, said Miss Fincastle. Mrs. Fincastle must have wanted to be a farmer before she became a teacher. She was always calling her students ducklings or tiny piglets or kids. Audrey thought kids was extra funny because it meant child and baby goat. She wanted to let Miss Fincastle know that she knew about that. Miss Fincastle always got an eye twinkle when kids made a connection all on their very own. Did anybody else in room 19 ever notice her eye twinkle? Nope. Nobody else noticed the sneakers in Mrs. Fincastle's top bag every Tuesday and Thursday. Probably for dancing. Probably for dance class or something. And there's Mrs. Fincastle. And the kids from room 19. Nobody else noticed that she only drank her coffee iced. Goldie had given her a happy birthday mug, but Miss Fincastle used it for the dull pencils. She never, ever, ever drank hot coffee. Was Audrey the best at loving Miss Fincastle? Want a hint about our science surprise day creature? Only 1 week of waiting left, Miss Fincastle shouted. Science surprise day was definitely going to be one of the best parts of second grade. That was the day when room 19 would get its first actual living, breathing animal. Miss Fincastle had been giving hints for weeks and weeks, which was one of those sneaky things teachers did to make kids pumped up for learning. Have you seen my glasses? Wee ducklings? Miss Fincastle patted her head, looking for her glasses, but they were already perched on the tip of her nose. They are on your face, room 19 yelled. That was probably another teacher trick to make sure everyone was comfortable and happy and ready to learn. Audrey has it all figured out. Okie dokie, settle down. We can't be that noisy because our creature for Science Surprise Day is nocturnal. That's when you sleep during the day and party all night. Oh, said Bettina, I hope it's a raccoon. Bettina, honey, no, no, said Mrs. Fincastle. It's definitely not a raccoon. Now, do you want the good news or the bad news first? And everybody together yelled out, bad! Room 19 begged all together. Okay, Miss Fincastle said, the bad news is that even though our creature is nocturnal, we will not be having a room 19 sleepover. Oh, room 19 said all together again. Audrey hadn't even thought about a sleepover at school, and now it sounded like the best thing ever. She could wear the slippers that Diego had given her for her birthday. They were fuzzy and yellow and shaped like bananas. Diego knew she would love them. He said his mom had picked plain ones at first, but he fixed that problem right up. That was last year. But here's the good news. Miss Fincastle smooshed her hands up under her chin. We have a brand new outlet coming to room 19 for good on Monday. Woo! Yo, Diego. He always made the funniest jokes. I am so glad you asked, Diego, said Miss Fincastle. Said Miss Fincastle. Miss Fincastle, do you mean a new student or another nocturnal creature? Bettina asked. Ah, said Miss Fincastle. A new student is joining us in room 19. And it is still not a raccoon. A new student, not a raccoon? Everybody was excited. Who could it be? Audrey's belly did a flippity flop deep inside. I want to tell you a little about her so that you will be welcoming and helpful and good citizens of room 19. Miss Fincastle danced around the room. The last time Audrey had gotten a real across the street new neighbor, it was Henley. His family moved into the house that used to be where 17 cats lived. Oh my. Mom always said there was no litter box big enough for 17 cats. So maybe Audrey couldn't be too sure about all 17. But there were definitely a lot of cats living in that house. Most of them were gray and stripy and fuzzy. So it could have been the same cat over and over 17 times. Still, Audrey liked to think she had 17 cats for neighbors. Still, Audrey liked to think that she had 17 cats for neighbors. But when Henley moved in, the cats disappeared. Henley had 4 brothers, and they all made a bunch of noise. Their dad built a treehouse in the back that even had a swing. Diego came over all the time. Audrey wasn't allowed up. Aww. So Audrey was cautious when it came to new neighbors. But if Miss Fincastle was looking for somebody to be extra welcoming, Audrey was ready to try. She would be the best citizen ever. Our new chickadee's favorite subjects in school are spelling and science and math and reading and writing. Miss Fincastle posed for a moment for dramatic effect. Her favorite thing to do is dance, and her favorite snack is chocolate-covered crickets. Chocolate-covered crickets, said Bettina and Goldie and Sage all at the same time. Yup, said Miss Fincastle. I told you she liked science. She wrote a whole poem about her favorite insect unit at her old school. Can we do an insect unit and eat chocolate-covered crickets, Miss Fincastle? Diego was pumped up for learning. See, it was working. Would Miss Fincastle put a poem about chocolate-covered crickets at the top of her filing cabinet? She would join the beluga whales, say, since they have got an extra chair. Miss Fincastle walked over to the table Audrey shared with Diego and Henley. Each table in room 19 was named after one of the whale species they had been studying in science. Diego and Henley were mad they weren't the killer whales, but Audrey loved how the word beluga sounded. And Audrey L., I would like you to be her welcome ambassador, continued Miss Fincastle, because you have one particular thing in common. Wait, Audrey L.? There had been a Charlie M and a Charlie R in kindergarten, but they then got split up in first grade because how is it fair to not just be who you are? That's right, little chickens. We have a brand new Audrey. Until today, Audrey Locke was at least the best Audrey in room 19. And then Audrey Waters showed up. Aw. We're going to stop there for today. And if you have access to the book, please check it out at your local library and you can continue reading and see what happens. Chapter 3, 4, and so on. And it is just amazing. So much fun happens in room 19. I encourage you to find the book so that you can read some more. But thank you so much for joining in today. This has been Audrey L and Audrey W. Just the introduction of it, and you get to feel of what room 19 was like. And this one is coming to you from Carter Higgins and Jennifer K. Mann, and of course Chronicle Books of San Francisco. Thank you so much for joining in today. I hope you enjoyed that journey today with us, and I hope that you go and find this book at your local library and continue this story, and indeed do share out what you like about it. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime today. Absolutely appreciate you. Please remember that Storytime is back again tomorrow, 7 a.m. Pacific time, as well as 11 a.m. Pacific time. And this time we'll be reading from a book again from one of our friends here at Storytime. And this will be Annika Rose Reese's book, and it's called Anna Banana. And we'll be picking up this one from book 8, and we'll be jumping into book 8 and reading that one together. So please do join me again tomorrow for some more fun. Yes, indeed, early chapter books this week. We hope you've enjoyed them. And today we had Audrey L and Audrey W. Let the drama, let the adventures begin. Yes, who will be the best Audrey of them all? Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Absolutely appreciate you. I hope that you have a lovely day where you are. I hope that you indeed have a lovely time. And Henry, of course, thinking of you today and sending you love and hoping that you feel better. You continue feeling stronger and stronger. I'm glad that you're able to join us though for Storytime. Thank you so much for joining in today. Absolutely appreciate you. Yes, indeed. Feel better, Henry. Yes, indeed. That is what we're saying today. Thank you, Henry. And we're glad that you were here with us on Storytime. Thank you so much for joining in, Dr. Korb. How are you doing? What a cute story. Thank you for introducing to the book. Well, you're very welcome. It is indeed a good one. Oh, thank you. Absolutely. So good to see you here, Dr. Korb. And you might want to know I did receive a very special gift from Anais. I love it. It arrived, I think yesterday or the day before, and it is beautiful. Thank you so much. Good to see you here. Thank you so much. Rainbow Science Art. Yes, everything is in the book. Thank you so much for joining in. This book is taking me back to my early school years because it was early 90s and there were a million Amandas. So I was Amanda W. Amanda, I think we're in the same boat. Peter is everywhere. It was I remember my friends joked, they would say your name is so common, it's like money. It was everywhere. Everybody had one. It was a Peter in every class, I feel like. Thank you so much for joining in. I think we did have a lot of Charleses too in my class. I think just my class alone had 3 Charleses. But yeah, thank you for sharing, Amanda. Absolutely appreciate it. Diane Korb, how are you doing? Thank you so much for joining in. I'm glad you love the stories. You used to teach first grade. Oh my goodness. Well, I love it. And aren't they fun at that age? Thank you so much for joining in and sharing. I'm glad you are here, Diane Korb. Absolutely appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Absolutely appreciate you. And indeed, thank you for teaching our kids, for participating in that very important work indeed. Thank you so much for joining us. Absolutely appreciate it. Marietta, thank you. Say, Henry, really love this reading. We're going to get ourselves a copy. Please do. I hope you find it at your local library, or indeed, I hope you're able to find it where you find books. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Absolutely appreciate you. And Henry, I'm glad we've given you something to enjoy today, and hopefully you continue feeling better. Thank you so much for joining in. Rajans, Rashida, how are you doing? Good to see you here too on Story Time. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Oh my East Bay people linking up right here. Love it. Thank you so much for joining in. Rashida, how are you doing? Good to see you here on Story Time as well. And I hope that summer school is off to a great start. All the preps are off to a great start. Thank you so much for joining in here today, and absolutely love it. Good to see you here. Amanda, thank you so much. Say extra big hugs to you today, Henry. We hope you're feeling better soon. Absolutely. Thank you, Amanda. And indeed, thank you, everybody in this wonderful community for sending those positive vibes and indeed coming together here and creating a space that we can laugh and just enjoy. Thank you so much for being here. Absolutely appreciate it. Henry, extra hugs for you today. And of course, extra love. Thank you so much for joining us on Story Time. Absolutely love it. Pamela Courtney, Braylon and Chad burst through the door hoping at least to say hello to you. Well, I am here. How are you doing, Braylon and Chad? I'm glad you made it. Thank you so much for joining in Story Time. And I hope that we can see you tomorrow for more Story Time. We'll be back on Friday. And tomorrow we'll be looking at Anna Banana. Yes, Anna Banana and the Magic Show mix-up. You don't want to miss that one. Please be here 7 a.m. Pacific time, or indeed you can join us at 11 a.m. Pacific time as well. But of course, you can always find Story Time in our archives on Facebook as well as YouTube, and you can always follow us on Instagram to see what's happening, what's coming up, and of course you can find us too at storytimewithmrlimada.com. Thank you so much for being here. Please do join me again tomorrow for another exciting story time as we'll be reading Anna Banana and the Magic Show Mix-Up. Join us. Book 8 of Anna Banana series is what we'll be reading tomorrow. So please come along and enjoy. And today, of course, we're reading Audrey L and Audrey W. Best Friends-ish. This one for you from Carter Higgins and Jennifer K. Mann, and of course, Chronicle Books of San Francisco. And this is book 1 in the series. Thank you so much for joining us on Storytime. I hope again to see you here tomorrow for more stories. And of course, please do send us all your recommendations. It is always a pleasure to hear about all the different books that you'd like to see here on Storytime. And I guarantee you, I promise you that we will work extra hard to make sure that those books come here to Storytime and we do share them with you and the rest of the community. Thank you for being here. This has been Storytime for today. Sending you love, sending you well wishes, and I hope that this day is indeed beautiful for you. Absolutely love the opportunity, the chance to be here with you every morning, to laugh together, create community together, and of course encourage each other and learn from each other. Thank you so much for being here. Have yourselves a wonderful day. Sending you hugs and love. Braylon and Chad, I'm glad you made it. I'm glad you are here to say hello. Have a lovely day indeed. And of course, Pamela Courtney, thank you for being here on Storytime with us. And of course, special mention to Diane Korb. Thank you so much for joining us. Absolutely appreciate you. Thank you for being here. And to everybody that was joining in Storytime, we send you love. If you're joining us for the recordings, we are sending you hugs as well and hoping that your day is just as beautiful. Thank you so much for being here. Much love from me, and I will see you again tomorrow for more Storytime. Bye-bye.
Storytime with Mr. Lamada. He will be starting soon. Storytime with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't live lonely, won't you start all the reading? We just can't wait to be in. Brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't live lonely, won't you start all the reading? We just can't wait to be